We've all but finished our raised bed above a garage at the back of our van using extruded aluminium from KGN Automation. It was important that our garage could house our two e-bikes that can now slide out on a dedicated tray. Our garage now also houses all of our charge systems and batteries, a 10-gallon auxiliary water tank and additional slide-out storage. We're now starting work forward of our garage, where in a similar space, using more extruded aluminium, we will be installing a kitchen to include sink, cooktop and oven, a tall fridge unit, a composting toilet, and with some careful engineering, a shower. So grab yourself a brew, sit back and see how we crack on.
Hi guys, we're Van Life My Way. My name's Nikki.
And I'm Paul.
We're a husband and wife team who have had many adventures over the years and now are planning to take early retirement and make van life our next adventure.
Coming from a background of equipping vehicles for overland and expedition travel, we hope you'll find our van build of interest as we create a van perhaps better suited to modern van life.
So do come along on our journey as we build our mobile home whilst taking you on some mini adventures in our camper van, Rad the Silver Surfer.
Our van build has started from a fixed location, here at the back of the van. What I mean by that is that our bed over garage had to be a certain height, a certain width and a certain length, not only to sleep Nikki and I, but to house our mountain bikes underneath. It would have been no good starting my van build here at the front of the van with an elaborate kitchen, or a shower room, or a toilet, so big perhaps that by the time we got back to here, we had no space for our sleeping area and our mountain bikes. So this was a great place to start and a great fixed point. So just like our garage build, I fitted some beams into the floor to support some units in our living area. However, unlike the garage, I'm not going to be fitting a board across these beams and building the units on top of the board. In our living area, I'm going to be dividing it into several zones. The idea of me treating all of these areas separately is that if in the future something arises where a zone has to be repaired or replaced, this can be done completely independently of every other zone which will remain working. So it's all about access and maintenance. There's going to be a zone for our fridge unit, boiler, toilet and seat, a zone for our kitchen area, and a zone for our walkway and shower unit. First area, the first zone that I'm going to be working on is this one just here, where the fridge will meet our bed frame. It's another constant, it's another area that can't be moved, it's got to go here, it can't be adjusted, so it's a great place to start. I managed to lose some video footage yesterday, so let me show you how far I got on. I first put my cornerstone in, which was this piece of extruded aluminium going from the roof all the way down to the floor, bolted to my bed frame. At the point of the floor, I put it onto a rubber pad, just as a little bit of a thermal break because it wasn't going to be sitting on wood. I then put another piece of extruded aluminium all the way across the floor on the beams that I'd put in, and again on pieces of rubber just to act as a little thermal break. Once those two pieces were in, I could then build my framework for my fridge unit and pop the fridge unit in just to double check that everything fitted okay. That's how far I've got so far, and I ain't really got a clue what I'm going to do now today, to be honest with you. So I'm going to stare at the job for about 10 minutes and decide what I'm going to do with my day. So I cut out some 25mm insulation board and popped it in between my floor strengtheners. Two uprights of 40x40 extruded aluminium I fixed to the side of the van. One more vertical piece of 40x40 from beneath my fridge went to ground for additional support and to locate some slides for a drawer unit. I cut out a piece of 15mm ply as a base for my fridge that will be drilled and varnished before the final fit, and in went the fridge again for a final check. I positioned my TRUMA 4E Combi boiler so I could confirm the position I was to place the flue, and a pilot was drilled to mark the centre point. So we need to drill a hole in the side of our van to mount the exhaust outlet and the inlet for the TRUMA boiler. It can be quite daunting cutting holes in the sides of your van, and we're going to be using something called a stryle. Now the best way to use these things is to take a block of wood, drill 2 holes by the side of the pilot hole that you've already put in there that's no bigger than the size within the size of the stryle itself. Like so. And then take your block of wood and screw it on the inside.
Yep.
Now when you start to cut a hole with the stryle, you'll find that that drill piece in the middle there centralises the whole of the stryle. But because we're going through thin metal, you'll find that that centre piece will begin to oval out. So your drill will end up doing that, and you'll end up with a bigger, rougher hole than what you need. So with the piece of wood behind, that acts as a bearing when this drill piece goes in to keep the stryle in place. Once you start, just cockle it over slightly, so you're going it in at a slight angle, and this will also help guide and cut the steel a lot easier. Only slight angle. I don't know why, I've got to unratchet it like a dick. Et voila. And now we've ended up with a neat round hole instead of an oval one. Now this is where the primer comes in handy again. From our window installs, it comes as part of the kit, but it's a fast drying primer. So I'm just going to dab a bit onto the end of the glove and just dab all the way around on the untreated metal surface. You could use a brush, but I find in doing so you end up with half of it running down the side of the van, and that's almost dry already. So I'm just going to check on the inside to make sure there's no bare metal, to dab a bit on there, but that's all that metal prime now. Using the stryle cutter, I've drilled the same size hole into a piece of plywood that I've bonded on the inside of the van. The plywood will allow me to bolt this piece of the TRUMA boiler up to the van without distorting the thin metal. Without the piece of wood, as we screw these screws into the side of the van, it may cause the actual body of the van to distort, rendering the seal quite useless, and it may leak inside the van. On each screw, I've just dabbed a little bit of polyurethane sealant, so it seals the holes up as we go into the plywood.
Is it just too talky?
Yeah, it can be.
So when you're using a screwdriver, you get a better feel for it.
Get a better feel for it. So I've put the screws in using a drill driver, but I've not gone all the way home with them. The reason being, you don't get a feeling of the torque using this thing on each screw, and what you can do is over tighten some screws and not others, and that can distort the seal. So I've just screwed them in as far as I dare go before then using a screwdriver to perhaps balance the torque around that seal. With the rubber seals that's supplied with this, what you don't want to do is over tighten, stretch it, and sometimes tear it. So the idea is just to give it a little wee nip and then stop. It's likely that the seal supplied with the outlet from TRUMA is enough to keep the water at bay and out of the inside of the van, but it's never a cert, it's never a guarantee. So what I'm going to do is put an additional bead of polyurethane sealant all the way around. So using some masking tape, we're going to mask all the way around where we don't want any sealant to go. It's certainly a lot easier to mask around a square than that tiny round thing. But now that job's done, I'm just going to apply a bit more panel white to clean the area and degrease where my sweaty fingers have been. And that will allow the sealant to stick a lot better. And the idea is always less is more with sealant. So now I'm just going to seal around there with the thinnest of beads. And if you remember my little trade secret, spit on your finger to remove all of the surplus and make sure the sealant's bedded in well. Bit more spit. It's a good quality spit that. Now what we can do is start to remove our masking tape. Just be careful because this masking tape is covered in this stuff and it'll cover you in it as well. Like so. And if you feel confident enough again, make sure your finger's nice and clean. Mine's covered in mastic. Bit of panel wipe gets rid of that, but be careful, it does dry your skin out. Just a wee bit more spit. Panel wipe spit on your finger. And just gently neaten off the bead. So now just the cover plate to go on, and that's our exhaust flue. Oh, remember, a little bit of mastic on there to seal those holes. Now this is where you can crack plastic, so always just finish them off by hand. Spot on. I'm finding at the moment that all the jobs are getting a little bit bitty. What I mean by that is I can't put my TRUMA boiler in until I put my gas tank in and the pipe work in. I also can't put it in until I've put some lino down, or whatever type of flooring we're going to be using, on top of the board that it's sitting on. And we can't decide that until we've decided on the colour of the wooden lats on the roof that we're going to have. And I won't be able to put that up until I've put the wooden lats across the roof and fitted the insulation. So it's likely that all of our videos are going to change from now on, from being a theme, like the garage build or the electric installation, to now perhaps a weekly, bi-weekly or monthly thing, just showing you the progress that we're making and what we're doing. So I hope you've enjoyed these videos up to now, and I hope the style of the next videos is going to work with you too. Alright, we're going to sign off on this video now and give the next one some thought of how we're going to go about it. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you soon, and hopefully we'll have a lot more different things to show you. Bye now.
What are you doing now, Paul?
So now, using a bit of panel wipe, I'm going to clean the area where the seal's going to sit on the outside of the van. You fucking dick.
Ow, that's hot.
Stuart, you'd be good at this shit. Come and do this.
What?
Talk to camera.
Get lost.